Hello people. Today's video is about a dire warning I have. For years now I have been watching Calvary Chapel very closely. And what they have repeatedly done all throughout the Calvary Chapel system is offer Romans 10:9 and 10 as the gospel. It is not. Our gospel is 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verses 1 through 4. At the end of every show, most of the Calvary Chapel pastors will give the ABCs of salvation. Now, I have always contended, back in my early days as a Christian, I fell for this. But since I learned from Edward P.F. 123 many years ago that this is in fact, when you read by context that chapter, it's to the nation of Israel. This is what they must have to do when they see him in the clouds. They have to admit that they wronged him. They have to admit their offense to him. They have to call him by name. They've denied him once already as a nation. And in the description section, I'll put down Dr. Andy Woods and his expository explanation of this. He does this by context in proper hermeneutics and in a manner that explains why you can't take verses meant for Israel and put them on the church. Our gospel is belief upon the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, and that is it. If you have to add something to that process, you're adding to it and making another gospel. Just to really read Galatians chapter 1, verse 8 and 9. It tells you exactly what will happen to the person that's giving the wrong gospel. And I've tried to be nice for this for years and explain it to them. But, the Calvary Chapel system is huge. And by doing this, they've made themselves no more than a cult. By giving the wrong gospel. No different than Mormons, Catholics, Seventh-day Adventists, and Jehovah's Witnesses. If they've messed that up, they're going to mess up the rest of the scriptures. And there are some good, well, I shouldn't say good people, but there are people in there that are nice. But they don't listen to anybody. When I leave comments on Calvary Chapel videos, a lot of them get deleted because they refuse to change. And even one Calvary Chapel church has the nerve, well, I shouldn't say nerve, but uses Dr. Andy Woods to explain the real meaning of the rapture of 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3. Or no. Explains what the apostasy really is. It's the departure. He breaks it down verse by verse, goes through the Bible and talks about the whole thing. And then this pastor for the Calvary Chapel system cites him, why the rapture it has to be, but then doesn't listen to him when he says Romans 10:9 and 10 are not for the church. Chapters 9, 10, and 11 are for Hebrews, and it says so in verse 1 of chapter 10. This is for the Hebrews. Next subject. If you do not believe that these fires are not coordinated attacks by local terrorist groups, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, whatever offshoots you have, and it's a coordinated attack upon this country, then you have a screw loose. California has well over 600 forest fires. The whole West Coast is ablaze. I can look out my window right now And it is not, I can hardly see the building over there, it's so smoky. Just when I walk to the store to get supplies, it hurts to breathe, it's so smoky. I stay inside now, but yeah. Well, anyway, sign of the times. This country is being judged. We divide, that I didn't. This country has divided the lands of Israel. This country supports homosexuality. Trump especially supports homosexual unions. God's not silent. He's speaking right now. You can look out your window and see it. You can see the hurricanes lining up. Well, they're tropical storms now, but as they go and gain strength and become bigger tropical storms or hurricanes, you can see them lined up out there 2 and 3 deep in the Atlantic, getting ready to hit the eastern seaboard. You can see the west coast being absolutely obliterated with forest fires. And I'm talking, these forest fires are not little things. They are massive. They're huge. I would expect an earthquake, probably about the time of the rapture. But this country is under judgment. If you vote for any party, you take part in the curse. As per God's words, any country that does this is going to be divided and eventually taken to the valley of Armageddon and destroyed. Armageddon. You cannot give Israeli land to the enemies of Israel from which they are now attacking Israel from. That's cursing Israel. That's dividing the land of Israel. God is not silent. He's speaking loud and clear right now. All can see it with their own eyes. And yet, when I go to a channel like Calvary Chapel channels, and I make a comment, you wouldn't even recognize that these are people who are Christians and actually read and study the scriptures. I'm laying out what's happening, why it's happening, and what's going to happen next, straight from the Bible, with no eisegesis, only exegesis. They shall surround themselves with people who tickle their ears. They'll go to the churches of their choice, and the majority of them are wrong. Well, I'll see you in the air real soon. Bye.